Red Sox opening day. Our coverage starts at 3:15 for the pregame right here on the Big Jab. And it's a big day on NESN. Not only do they have the Sox opener, but a huge game between the Bruins and the Lightning following the Red Sox game. Coverage begins for the Red Sox with a pregame at 2:30. It features Jim Rice, Steve Lyons, and this guy, our friend Tom Caron from NESN joins us. TC, how are you? Good morning.
Morning, Chu. How you doing?
Pretty good. Last time we saw you down in spring, we were calling it Camp Tranquility, and it seemed like it was a little more laid back this season. What were some of the differences you saw between a John Farrell-led camp and an Alex Cora-led camp?
Well, I think we talked about this at the time, and I think it certainly played out that way over the course of the 6 weeks of spring training. I just think it's a looser group under Alex Cora, and that's not to say it couldn't have been under John Farrell, but just the way that relationship between Farrell and the young players was developing over the years. Cora has come in and really connected with these guys. There's been a lot of talk about being relaxed, about not pressing, and we'll see how that plays out. I mean, it played out great during the spring training at 22 wins, and now they have 0, so we reset the clock. But it was a great camp. I think these guys feel pretty good about themselves as they break it.
Well, when you take a look at this camp, and obviously there are not a lot of changes on this team, but was there anything that stuck out in spring training compared to previous years?
Just the way it was run was different. I mean, specifically, Chris Sale and David Price really not throwing as much as guys usually do, and time will tell if that was a good call or not. But I know Joe Madden was a fan of this. He used to do it in Tampa a little bit, does it with some of his guys in Chicago, and Dana Levangie, the new pitching coach, along with Alex Cora, really put together a plan where these top pitchers who have faded, frankly. We know, Price has been bad in the playoffs over the course of his career. Sale's ERA was 4 in August and September last year. So while they worked up their arm strength, they did it, with controlled bullpens, with back lot, the games against minor leaguers, and not nearly as many starts. So the idea is they will be stronger in August and September. And that's the plan. So there's no way to know if that'll work until we get to August and September. But the concern is, do they have the arm strength here at the beginning of the year? And that's what we'll be watching for today with Sale.
Tom Caron from NESN is with us, and one of the popular theories out there is not only adding J.D. Martinez, but the way they approach the game. You should see more power from this team. Are you subscribing to that theory?
Well, you can't see less. So, I mean, they were last in the American League in home runs. So, obviously Martinez, who didn't hit a home run, it's worth noting that, didn't hit a home run in spring training, although last year I think he hit 2 in spring training and then hit 45 during the regular season. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But, a couple of things come to mind. Martinez's presence in the middle of that lineup gives them the big bat that they didn't have last year. Secondly, Hanley Ramirez has a healthy shoulder. Last year, the entire season, the shoulder bothered him, and I think he still hit 23 home runs. But more than anything, it's what Martinez will be able to do at the plate and what he'll be able to do to influence the guys ahead of him in the lineup. The old protection line. David Ortiz used to always talk about that. You got a big bopper behind you in the lineup, you're going to see more fastballs because that pitcher's trying to get you out to not get to him or to not put a guy on base before Martinez comes in. And then the other thing is the approach Alex Cora and the new hitting coaches are bringing into this team, which is, a little more modern-day launch angle talk. Chili Davis was a great hitting coach, but he was all about contact. These guys are being taught to adjust their swing a little bit to try to, give a little bit of loft to that ball. And that's the way the game is taught today. That's the way Major League hitters approach it today. And if it works for the Sox, it'll mean more home runs.
Well, we have Vasquez behind the plate today for Sale. We didn't always see that last year. Is this an indication that this is the guy that they're going to ride for 125, 130 games this year?
Yeah, or closer to it anyway. He's going to be the starter. They gave him the extension. He had a great year last year when he hit 290. He had a great offensive season. We know how good he is defensively. I think the only edge that Leon has over him, I think Leon is as good as anybody in game prep and calling a game. And so that'll be interesting because, you remember last year, Vasquez only caught Sale once, and it didn't go well. It was truly the only bad outing he had the entire year, where it was a complete disaster. That start against the Indians. And so we'll see. He caught him in spring training, and it went fairly well. Now you just cross your fingers and hope. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, it's the Tampa Bay Rays, and these first 9 games are against either Tampa or Miami, who are 2 teams in a complete rebuilding mode. So it's not a bad time to experiment with some things here at the beginning of the year.
Tom Caron from NESN is with us. What's your opinion of the bullpen, and how do you think Corey utilizes that bullpen?
Well, we know Kimbrel's the closer, and that's, you always build it from the back. Kimbrel spent a lot of time up here in Boston this spring with his daughter, and it was a pretty scary story. His newborn daughter had 4 heart surgeries, and Lydia Joy, his daughter, is improving, doing well. He managed to throw indoors and face hitters at the Babson College. These poor guys having to face Craig Kimbrel here between their college starts. So he threw a couple of outings at the major league level. I think he threw a minor league one as well. So I saw him in that last game 2 days ago. He looked great. So you got the closer, which is what you need. Before that, I'm guessing Carson Smith is going to be your 8th inning guy, and that's a huge advantage. Remember, you didn't have him really until the very end last year. This guy 2 years ago was brought in to be the 8th inning guy. Now he'll get the chance. Tyler Thornburg last year was brought in. He's still a little bit away. He's still on a DL. And I think Joe Kelly becomes a really important part of this bullpen. He's been inconsistent. They need that to change. He needs to be able to come out and harness that 100-mile-an-hour fastball and mix it up with some other stuff. And he's got to get a little movement on some of those secondary pitches to set up the fastball. I think it's a good bullpen. I think they've got a lot of options. But there's some inconsistency there in the few guys leading up to Kimbrel. So we'll see.
There was some rumblings that maybe Corey uses Kimbrel in different situations, 8th inning or whatever it may be. Do you think he does that?
Not at the beginning. He told me a couple of days ago here that because Kimbrel missed so much time, that's going to have to wait a little bit. Just not a normal spring training here for Kimbrel. So now's not the time to be talking about 2-inning saves. And, I got people talking about, well, we'll bring him in the 8th inning when they need. I don't think that happens. I still, I think he'd like to use him in more than 3-out saves, get the last couple of outs of the inning, and then in the 8th, and then come into the 9th. I don't think you're going to see him, the new age writers would love to see closers come in the 6th to put out the fire.
Right.
But, if you go way back, you go to the closer by committee in 2003 that the Red Sox had. That's exactly what Theo Epstein had the Red Sox do, and the problem was you still need a guy who can handle the pressure of the 9th. And I know analytics say you don't, but the truth of it is, and I've talked to a lot of pitchers over the years, it is different pitching the 9th inning. There's no safety net. There's no one behind you. The game is on the line. You got to close it out. You got to have a guy who can do that. There's no point in having a guy who can get you out of the jam in the 7th inning when you don't have anybody who can close it out in the 9th. So I don't think you're going to see him dropped all over the place. I think we'll see different guys utilized in that role, and we'll just see Kimbrel once in a while in the 8th. And then, you know what happens a lot is you come in the 8th inning, you put out the fire, then the Sox tack on 2 runs in the top of the 9th, and he's done for the day. So I think you might see that a little bit.
Well, you take a look at this team, and it seems like there aren't a lot of glaring weaknesses on this team, but is there enough there to, 1, get by the Yankees in the division, then 2, get past Cleveland, Minnesota, Houston, to go deep?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, I think they're the equal of the Yankees. I really do. I think they're going to win 92 games, give or take. I think they'll be right there for the division. If I was going to pick a winner, I would pick the Red Sox. I still think the starting pitching is better, and I know that's arguable, but I think, to me, it comes down to what Price and Porcello can do. They should be as good or better than any number 2 or number 3 in the game. Porcello's got to be better than the guy who lost 17 games last year, won the Cy Young the year before that. So all I need is him to be somewhere in the middle. I think Eduardo Rodriguez comes back, you'll see him soon. And then whether it's, Pomeranz or Wright, I guess it would be Pomeranz. You got a lot of lefties. That's a little bit of a concern. Wright, you won't see him for a while because he's got the suspension looming. So I think they're as good as the Yankees. I think the Astros are the best team in the American League. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They'll have Verlander for a whole year. They beefed up their pitching core, so I think they're poised to be a considerably better team. They put Garrett Cole from Pittsburgh in the back end of that rotation, and that's pretty scary. So they're the team to beat. Anything can happen in a series, but I don't think there's any doubt they're as good as any team in baseball. But I think the Red Sox are in that group right behind them, and just win a series. I mean, to me, that's what we've seen the last 2 years is really good regular season teams that have nothing in the playoffs. So you're looking for a team that makes the playoffs and then can get a little momentum going and win a few series. And if they can get at least to the second round, I think that's a step in the right direction. You'd love to see them make it to the American League Championship Series. And then who knows? At that point, we've seen weird things happen in the past. So I think it's a good team. I really do. I think that, the problem they're going to face is no matter what they do during the regular season, fans are only going to be saying, okay, that's fine, but show me in the playoffs. So until they do that, that'll be the question about this team all year.
Do you think any of the other three teams in that division are legitimate threats?
I worry a little bit about Baltimore now just because I thought Alex Cobb was a terrific pickup late in spring training. And Baltimore's still got a lineup that can hit the ball. I think Machado's going to have a monster year as he plays for a new contract. So I worry a little bit about Baltimore because they fixed up that pitching staff a little bit before spring training, and then when they added Cobb, I thought it got significantly better. I think Tampa's awful. I think that's the reality of it. I think they're complete. I mean, the Red Sox are almost paying as much to guys who are not playing baseball today as Tampa Bay is to their entire roster. That's an interesting thing. We talk about how much the Red Sox are paying and how big their payroll is. They're paying Pablo Sandoval $18 million this year. They're paying Rusney Castillo $11 million to be at Kentucky. They're still paying Alan Craig $1 million. I was looking up some numbers today, and this stunned me. I forgot. They're still paying Manny Ramirez $2 million a year to buy out the end of his contract. So pretty ridiculous how big their payroll is. It's going to be the biggest payroll in baseball. So that's why I think they're a good team. But back to your question, I really don't see any of those three teams catching the Red Sox or the Yankees here as this season goes on.
All right, as we said, a big day on NESN, not only the Sox opener, but a huge Bruins game. So you guys are you're busy over there today.
Yeah, we'll be. It's always great. Everyone's going to be pushing and shoving their way. At the cafeteria, Billy Jaffe and Jim Rice will be punching each other, trying to get a better seat at the table. But it's going to be a great day. It's fun. We start at 2:30 for an hour and a half with the opening day coverage. By the way, opening day is one of my favorite days of the year, but it's going to be interesting. It's such a lousy ballpark, and it's just so dark, and it's just so blah. It's not going to feel like opening day as that game starts, but it's real baseball after watching a lot of it that didn't matter down in spring training. And then we'll hand it right off to our hockey guys, and hopefully Bruins will keep surging because they've been fun to watch. All
right, TC, good stuff. Great to catch up. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, it's Tom Caron from NESN. Again, their coverage starts at 2:30 for the opener of the Red Sox, and then that follows with coverage of the Boston Bruins taking on the Lightning. We'll take a break. It's Shu, it's Joe, it's 92.5, 96.3.